Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 192 image Photoshop / image editing for the spring semester 2022. That's not entirely correct title of the class, but you get the idea. What I wanted to start with today, and at the same time sort of end, is on the topic of quick fixes. That's what we started on Monday, and for some reason I couldn't see, maybe I was staring right at it, but I don't think so. I wanted to use the crop tool, and it's right here. In order to straighten the finalized image of that we had created as a composite panoramic view. It wasn't there, and I had to hunt and peck around for it, and it took me a few minutes. But I think with the new, I don't know if you guys are using the 2022 version. If you have subscribed to it, you probably should be. But I think there's something new that's taken place. If I deselect, if it isn't visible to you, and I deselect all layers, and I look at the properties panel, you'll notice here under quick actions, that might be closed on your computer, but if you twirl it down, you'll notice that you can see image size, crop, trim, and rotate. So if I select crop, it automatically goes to the crop tool, and it will bring it up over in your toolbar to the left. Once that's visible, then we can go back again and we can see. So if it disappears at any time, deselect all the layers that you have and twirl down on quick actions, and you should see crop. Why it disappears now and why they decided to change it, I don't know. It was fine before, always keeping it over here in your toolbox or your tool panel over here. So I'm going to use the straighten tool, and I'm just going to click on the horizon here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Let's cancel that and go back. Let's select straighten. There we go. So now I can click and drag across like so. It straightens it, and at the same time it crops it, so it takes out any extraneous elements of our image. So you do lose a little bit, and that's it, and then we're done. But it's a great tool. It is great, has been greatly improved over the years. And as I said, you can use any camera you want. It does not have to be on a tripod. You can handle, it can be handheld. The alignments don't have to be perfect, but you do need to make sure that you have adequate overlap so it can detect what areas it has each have in common, so it can stitch it together. If you zoom way in, there may be a handful of artifacts, but perhaps not in most cases. In some cases, they'll be small. They'll be easy to retouch using up here. We can use, let's see. Where are we here? There we go. Down here. We can use the spot healing brush, patch tool, clone stamp, any number of tools like that to make those minor changes. Okay, so that's returning to what happened on Monday. And again, when this change took place, I don't know. I'm just always accustomed to seeing the crop tool over here to the left. And I didn't see it. Now, it could have been staring right at it. I don't know. But I did discover that if you deselect all layers, twirl down on quick actions, you'll see that by clicking on this little crop button here, it will bring it up. Just as when you select image size, that will give you that, it will bring that little dialog box up and tell you the width and the height as well as the resolution of the image, things like that. I noticed in recent iterations of Adobe products that they are relying more and more heavily on the properties panel over to the right. Okay, so that's something that I need to take note of as well. But that's something that you should also notice. So to move on, I'm done. We're done with these quick fixes. What I wanted to focus on next, and it probably won't take us that long today, is that Photoshop has introduced neural filters, and you may be familiar with them already on your phone. So like face tuning apps, you can quickly adjust backgrounds and change them. They're really, in some instances, they work really well. Some instances, not so much. So I wanted to show you a handful of examples and show you how they work. And that's really all I wanted to cover today, except for the fact that pretty soon your postcard will be due, and you're not going to have as much time to do the movie poster. So I plan on introducing that today, just a little bit of an introduction. So even though you may not be done with your postcard, that you can start thinking about the movie poster, because you'll only have a few weeks to get it completed. And it will take time for you to think about it, put together your images, and to create it. But once you have come up with the concept and you have collected your images, it won't take long to do. Okay, so the first image at hand. Okay, it's one of my son and daughter, but if we use the neural filters here, and I go under filter, yeah, my computer's slowing down for some reason. I probably need to restart it, but it's too late now. I want to use here neural filters. And when that pops up, one of the things that you can do is you can make face, adjustments to your face, for portraits. You can shift the eyes. You can clean up, if the person has blemishes or acne or that sort of thing, it can clean that up pretty well. It can also put a smile or a frown on your face. And now what's happening, now that I'm online with all of you, everything is really slowing down. So I'm glad that I have some of these already completed. But for example, if we do smart portraiture, again, it recognizes that there are two faces, and I'm going to select my daughter's. Okay, so we can adjust a variety of things here. We can adjust happiness. We can adjust the age, facial age. We can adjust hair thickness, eye direction, a variety of things. Now, I already did this, and for my daughter, it worked out really well. So I'll cancel this because it will take too long for the computer to do this. It usually, because it's done oftentimes live, and you need a good connect. So it means you need a good computer, a good connection to the internet. That now, as I said, that I'm broadcasting to all of you, everything is sort of slowing down. So it's my computer's having to kind of do the double action. So if I turn the upper layer on real quick, you can see that it added a smile to my daughter's face, and it doesn't look half bad. I tried that with my son, and it didn't look so good. I've done it to myself, and it didn't look so good. But, you can turn that on and off now, and when you're done with it, while it is a permanent or destructive change, it automatically, when it applies the filter, creates a new layer usually, which is really pretty nice. So we can always, as I said, turn it off and go back to the original. So that's one of the things. Again, for those of you who are accustomed to using face tuning apps on your phone, very similar, all of these features. So that's one of the things. The other one that I wanted to point out, like I said, we'll probably be done in a half an hour, is that this is a photograph that I took of a sunset out of our on our front porch. There's a variety of enhancements that I made in Photoshop that I will show you, but there is a pretty nifty neural filter that allows you to, if you're to change the background if you're not happy with it. So if I click here, you can see the background that I added. And if you would rather have something like this, it's a little bit more dynamic, that's what we can do. And it does it automatically. You don't have to select the background. You don't have to select the foreground. You don't have to isolate anything. It recognizes the sky and it will apply it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this layer and let's see if I can do it quickly. If I can't, I will cancel it, but I will show you where it's done. So again, under filters, I'll select filter again. I'm going to come down to neural filters. There's a variety of things that you should look at and try. As I said, many of which are already exist on the phone and now have been included or adopted by Adobe on Photoshop, in Photoshop. And again, just to load the neural filters, because it's live and it's online, it's taking a moment to do. So this will probably take us into the hour if we have to wait too long for all of this. But just a moment ago when I was doing all of these, it took just a few seconds. So what we want to do now is use down here the landscape mixer. Okay, and if I select that and I turn it on, I'm going to go ahead and once it's been loaded, we can turn it on. Come on. There you go. I selected this one before, but we can scroll through this and we can see if there's some others to use. Let's try this one right here, just for the heck of it. And I'm going to click OK. And in the lower left-hand corner, you usually see that it's actually going through the motions. And if this becomes a problem, then yeah, it's probably going to take too long. Anyway, you can see didn't do a thing. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm done with that. But you can see that the one that I did choose, it's actually even taken long for me just to turn on and off layers. Now, if I turn this off and I turn this off and we look at this layer, I want to show you that, the initial sunset, while it was beautiful, I did several things to it to enhance it. So these are some of the things that you need to consider when you're doing your postcard and especially your movie poster. Your movie poster assignment that will be coming up shortly. There are any number of filters and effects that you can apply to really enhance it aesthetically, to make it graphically a little bit more dynamic and really and that is one thing, kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit with movie poster design, is that because it is an ad and it's similar to a billboard, and it has to be read very quickly within just a couple of seconds. And it should be, everything should be very recognizable and readable from almost across the street, at least a distance of 20 feet. So if I turn this off and that layer, and I turn this one off, as I begin to turn these off, you can see that the contrast in the sky wasn't all that great. And if I turn this layer off, and then let's go ahead and let's turn the foreground, I really darkened that considerably. So we have that. and you could see more detailed. I wanted to see the houses across the street more in silhouette. So I applied levels to it, and isolated that through isolated them through the making a selection of them, a layer mask, and darkening them like so. Well, that one lightens it. Let's go ahead and then let's jump up. So I've darkened it considerably. And then I did the same up here with adjusting the background. Now this is more of what you're looking at is what I saw through my camera, but because I'm just using my phone, sometimes it will adjust the image in such a way that it will absorb, add a whole bunch more light than what I actually saw. So this is before I even added that neural filter. Okay, so that's the next one. Now here are some examples that I did from the phone. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry. Next one. Here's an example of Moral Rock, and but what I wanted to show you, and I hope it will work, is that there is a depth of field available, depth of field blur in the neural filters. So let's see if I use that or not. I just made a copy of it. Let's try again. Let's go to filter. Let's try neural filters, and I will show you where it's at. So let's try the filter, neural filters again. So I encourage you, especially for your movie poster, to apply some of these effects that can make especially if you want to enhance colors and the graphic qualities of your poster, make it look a little bit more dynamic. So I'm gonna, again, I can't use this too often or it's gonna mess things up. Just takes too long to load it now, but it won't take this long on your computer as long as you're not on Zoom and you have a relatively fast internet connection. Where it is, check them all out. I have, there you go, depth blur right here. So I'm going to select this. Again, it's loading from the internet. It's not local. It's not on my computer. So it takes additional internet speed or capacity for that. So you can change the focal distance and you can change the focal range. So if I really crank this up, just to show you, it will really, instead of blurring the background, it will come to the foreground if you do that really intensely. And you'll notice in the lower left, it says that it's processing on the device. So, it'll take a few seconds to do. And that's what we're waiting. It's kind of like watching right now, watching grass grow or paint dry. It's not fun. And I noticed that I wasn't online early on with some of these that were in beta. I guess they have cleaned them up now. And all of these are a part of the 2020. Oh, no, all of these down below are the ones that are in beta. Okay. So, they will take longer. Sometimes they crash and they'll say that it's not working properly. Try again later. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to cancel it because it's just taking too long right now. Okay. So again, I encourage you to explore these for your future projects. It's easy to overuse them. It's easy to get results that are not really all that favorable. But using neural filters on my phone, again, this is a selfie that I did. and then applying the face app to it. This is how it thinks I looked when I was younger, with a nice little smile. This is all with the same, using the same photograph. I did another one, making myself young, but adding some weight, so that not only did I have a smile, but added some weight to it. It distorts the glasses a little bit, but it adds hair to it. I guess if I weighed more, that would be the case. And then there was, I think, one more that I did, one or two more. Oh yeah, if I was the opposite sex, I think they kind of overdid it with this. I don't know that I would look that good as a woman, even if I was younger. But those are pretty cool. And these days, if you have a really good smartphone, the resolution of these images can be quite extraordinary. Now, this is the one that I wanted to use the neural filter with, to show you how you can shift the eyes and how I can make, add a smile and make, my age spots disappear, and I can blur the skin. Now, if you've done that with your smartphone, then you're familiar with that. They're all available now in Photoshop, most of them. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about next is over here, is the movie poster design. So about movie posters. And again, this is a little bit ahead of what we're doing, because your postcard isn't due, I think, until next week. But you should get thinking about it, because you will not have enough time, or as much time, to work on the movie poster as you did for the postcard. But you should have pretty good knowledge and mastery of Photoshop by now to be able to, let's do that. Another screen is popping up here. I don't know why. There we go. So anyway, what I did, or what the movie poster is about, is if you were to make a movie based on your life story, and it doesn't have to be your entire life story, it can be a specific moment in time, or how you maybe just in general kind of see yourself, make a movie poster of that. If you were to, what would the title be, and how would it be designed, and what image would you use? Singular image. You can use multiple images, and you can use, in fact, create a montage of images, but that's much harder to do. But think of it this way: the movie posters are kind of like the logo for a film. It's taking thousands of individual frames of a film, and it's reducing it to one single image, one image that hypothetically represents the entire film itself, the entire movie. So I did one this last semester of for myself and my wife, and that we will be moving to Morro Bay in a few months. And this is a photograph that I took of Morro Bay. It's actually near Morro Bay. It's Los Osos. And based on that, I used the title Moving Forward. So it also plays on the fact that on a couple of things. We're moving to a new location from Southern California to Central California. It incorporates the area that we plan on moving, so that it focuses on the landscape. And, from with a subtitle from LA to Morro Bay, kind of a play on words. And then the key actors in the film would be myself and my wife. And then in addition to that, I incorporated some credits. Now, the credits you do not have to create yourself. On another day, what I will do, there are a couple of things. I want to show you examples of existing movie posters that are really, really good, that you can use as not as a template, but is something from which that hopefully you'll be inspired. And the same with the credits. You can go online and you can just type movie poster credits and then do a Google search and search for images and you'll find them. And you'll be able to apply them as I've done to this one here. So if I start to turn layers on and off, okay, I don't know what I did on this one. Maybe, oh, there we go. So the credits go away. This is layer 2 where the credits. Marie Miller is on another layer. Kirk Miller is on a layer. From LA to Morro Bay is another layer. And then moving forward is another layer. Now, when you're designing the title, consider the fonts that you use and how they are displayed. Moving forward is clearly 2 words, but what I chose to do with the word forward is use it italicized to kind of represent just that, a visual representation of going forward. And we have some other images here, and you'll notice that if I click here, I use one of the neural filters to enhance the background. So if I turn that off, let's turn this folder off here. And you can see that this is where the image that I took, which was originally horizontal, with my phone, it was landscape mode, it ended here. And this is what the background looked like. Well, I used a neural filter, applying one of those backgrounds to it to get an overall sky, and it blends beautifully. It did not take long at all. So that's what we have there. So I think it was, putting something together in a fairly creative fashion. Something that represents the moment in my life right now. It's simple, it's direct. I think the image is graphically strong. And it's, again, something that, you need to consider for what you're doing, what you'll be doing, okay? The overall size will be 11 by 17, so it's actually kind of a mini poster, not large 30 by 40, the way one would actually be if it were I hope everybody is seeing this. There we go. Move this up. Has everybody been seeing this okay? Or did this switch to a different screen while I've been talking here? No? Bella, want to talk? Unmute. Go ahead and unmute, Bella. You wanted to say something? Or no? But everybody can see the screen, okay? That's principally what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I've been recording all of this and you've been able to see everything. Okay, so you can see it. That's all I want to know. But if you have another question, please let me know. And free to speak. Although I just turned you off. Okay, so that's pretty much where I wanted to take you today. That was it. I wanted to focus on For whatever reason, in Photoshop, what they have done is by default, the crop tool is not always visible. If you do want it, then what you need to do is you need to look under quick actions, and it will be here, and then it suddenly pops up in your toolbar. Okay. Then in addition to that, I wanted to show you neural filters and what they can do. Most of the neural filters are still in beta, and they do take up a lot of your processing power, processing speed. So don't have any other apps on while you're working. Make sure that you have plenty of resources dedicated to Photoshop when you use them, and experiment. It worked really well, the neural filter, for me to use my landscape image and to swap backgrounds for it to turn it into a vertical image without any muss or fuss. It worked really, really nice. Okay, so that I had my white type against a fairly dark background, and it reads quite nicely. Okay, but rather than, in the past, before the neural filters, I would have to go through all sorts of machinations to extend the background, or I'd have to use create a selection of my foreground and then isolate it from the background, and then find another picture of the background and put it in the background. All of this happens and works seamlessly in just a very short, few moments. Like I did with the, not the panorama view, but the Estero sunset. Okay. If I select it, there we go. And if I turn, if I say, well, that's a nice sunset, but I want to use a different clouds, different coloration. I don't know which you feel is stronger, but again, all I had to do was select that filter, select the background that I wanted, and it automatically recognized the sky and put it in there. I did not have to isolate the background from it. It worked really, really beautifully. Some other considerations with neural filters too, and apps that are available for your phone, like the Face app, is that later on we'll be doing probably after midterm, or about midterm. Yeah, after midterm, you'll be doing a digital painting. And one of the ways that you can begin that is you can use some of the apps that are available for your phone if you're taking your own photographs, to create some really interesting approaches to digital painting. That again, they're just filters that are applied to an existing photograph, and sometimes they work beautifully, and other times not so much. I'm going to show you one that I had used from before, and then we'll probably call it a day. It was the one that I had generated, and I don't know that I like it all that well, but it was one of my dog Bagel here. So if I want to browse recent, let's see if I can find Bagel in here. No, it's not there. So let me look on my desktop and open it. I thought it would be in recent files that I had opened. So let's look on my desktop. My computer is really sluggish at the moment. Really, really sluggish. So let me scroll down to Bagel filters or images of Bagel. It's my dog's name. Let's go by name, not date. There we go. Yeah, they're big. Oh, come on. There we go. Bagel images. So if I open up the Photoshop file that I did, my dog Bagel, these I do every day for fun. I don't have any intention of showing them. They're not part of my portfolio. I just, that's how I learn. I play with it. And I think for all of you, this is kind of a side note, a lesson to you that, well, I know that you feel, that you have these assignments that are required and you need to get them done to get a grade. But I think there are a lot of things that you can do with Photoshop and other Adobe applications like Illustrator and stuff, is that by playing with them, you learn a lot and you explore. And I think, one of the reasons that I'm having you do the movie poster based on your own life is that if, it makes you, number one, think about your life in a different way. How would you display it graphically to someone? What images would you use? What title would you use for that movie? It could be an alter ego of yourself. Maybe you see yourself as Batman. Maybe you see yourself as the masked Avenger in some way. And you can see that it's taking forever to open this file. So as soon as it is open, then we'll, like I say, when we're done with this, we'll call it a day. Anyway, I find it, if I do things for fun and I explore, just taking photographs of my dog or sunsets and stuff, I see that as a fun pastime. And through doing that, I'm able to explore some new features that I had and learn more about the program that I've used for years. So I'm going to hide the horizon here. If I turn this on here, the layer above it, you'll see that this was a neural filter that I applied from my phone. It has sort of a painterly quality. It sort of looks okay. I don't like it that much, but I thought it was worthwhile showing you the dramatic difference that you can do just by clicking on different filters. And again, some of you may have used those already. And when we get to that assignment, where you're going to be doing digital paintings, it's a good starting point. It's by applying filters and then coming back and painting on top of it using the mixer brush tool and enhancing it even further on using separate layers and that sort of thing. So that's all I wanted to show you today and talk about. Next week, we're going to move on and talk about typography. And that will also be a good introduction to the movie poster assignment. As I said, you're going to have to try to use type. You will have to use type on your movie poster effectively. I said that you need to use type on your postcard, but I will be more lenient. It will be more important that you integrate the type with your design and also of the poster to make sure that everything is readable, that it reads clearly, and that your type choices enhance or illuminate the meaning of your poster or whatever you're trying to convey, whatever message you're trying to convey in that poster. Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover for today. Kind of an easy lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, and I'm going to pause the recording. You guys are free to leave. So let me come back. I have Bella, Jonathan Guido, and Paula. I got Paula earlier. So over here. Yeah, Paula, Jonathan, and Bella. Okay. Okey doke. Bye-bye.